Hello SHG staff. This video is to take the place of listening to me jabber on about ILP meetings during the staff meeting. Instead, you get to listen to it over and over as many times as you'd like to. So that's super exciting. For most of you, this will be a review. If you've not conducted an ILP planning meeting on your own, just please make sure to note any questions that you have, and you can ask those in the staff meeting tomorrow, or you can ask any of the more veteran staff members that have conducted these before. But I just want to start with the structure of the meeting. Really follows the order of the individual learning plan. This is the 2018-2019 version of that, and it is definitely still a draft and up for discussion at today's staff meeting. I will not be present, but Amy's going to take notes, and I will make revisions prior to next week. I just wanted us to get a week ahead on this. So it's pretty self-explanatory, filling out the top piece here. The long-term goals evidence piece here in the beginning of the year meeting, we don't fill any of this in. We just simply attach the report from NWEA that shows how they did in their fall testing, and to just commit to the parents that our goal is by fall to winter and then from winter to spring that students show a year's worth of growth and that they meet their growth goals, and that we will be testing in winter and in spring, and that's roughly January and May, and that we'll be looking at their goals during each one of those time periods. Down here in the academic placement schedule information, this is an area in which we fill in, and so I've rearranged these by request in order of the subjects in the MAPS report. And just a little key right here, basically, that if they are less than 80th percentile, then we mark grade level, that they're functioning pretty much at a grade level content in that subject area, and that we talk about, unit by unit, that can vary, but overall, that percentile means that they're in the, anywhere in that 50 to 70th and 79th percentile. That's average to above average, and so functioning at grade level is appropriate in that subject. And so the group that they'll be grouped with in that subject will be functioning at a similar level. If they're at that 80th percentile and above, then we're starting to get into an area in which they might need some GT or acceleration in that subject as a whole. But that again, we test and we look at their readiness, unit by unit and skill by skill, not necessarily for all year long. But when they're put into small groups, that's what we're looking at, is their grade level, their percentile range, as well as their RIT score, obviously. For the STAR information, we project out based on what they made in the fall. We project where they'll be on the end of year STAR or EOC if they're in an EOC subject. And so the math, you would just mark right here like Algebra 1 if they're in Algebra 1, but they still project for EOC the same as for STAR. And that information is found in the student profile, and you would just simply record what that shows you in the student profile page. So we'll get to that in a little bit and just walk through this particular form. The area of passion and or intervention for 2018-2019, I put some that were very specific, and then I also just marked UILA plus academics, so we can put the areas in which they're going to compete, and then their fall and spring club. Likelihood is that I will not have all of the clubs set by the time we have these meetings, because some of the clubs will be tryout based, like DI, and that's not happening until not this Friday but next Friday, and that's after these ILP meetings. So you could just pencil in like their preferences, and you could do something in pencil there and just let them know that we'll be reaching back out, and their child will let them know what team they made, and that when we meet middle and end of year, we'll have completed that. Okay, so this back page is all about their learning strengths and their social and emotional areas that we're working on for social skills. And so I've kind of combined it and simplified it somewhat. This is definitely something that I want the group to give feedback on. But basically, this whole section here, they're all written in positive, strength-based language. And so it's a good thing to have any of these things. And so the question on the side just says, what are the learning strengths of this student? And you can pick as many as you see applicable in the student. And those would be things that we would capitalize upon when we during their instruction and the projects that they choose to work on, etc. The area down here, these are social emotional areas where the student would need additional work or additional skill sets. And so we are looking at these things as having a negative impact in which we need more work. So checking social skills would not be saying that the student has positive social skills, but rather that in the area of social skills, they could use some additional practice, that they're not dealing with stress positively, that they need better study habits or work ethic, that their sensitivities are getting in the way of their learning, that they're so asynchronous that they're struggling to make friends, that their perfectionism is keeping them from achieving at their highest potential, that they're not taking appropriate responsibility. So that they're so extroverted that they're not focusing in on their own work and their inner reflection, that they're so introverted that they're not able to work in a group. So when we're looking at this section here, we are talking about these characteristics negatively impacting them, and this would be something that we would focus on in our small group counseling, in our ILP lessons. We had a lot of conversation at the beginning of the school year about changing this pretty drastically. So I've not changed a lot of the verbiage. I've just kind of simplified the categories. But if the group wants to change verbiage, ask about, what do we mean when we say social skills? Could we list a couple of social skills instead? That type of conversation, I definitely want you guys to have that during the staff meeting and take really great notes, and we'll revisit and try to get that settled before the first ILP meeting, obviously. And then right now what we had is, some of the parents are like, oh my goodness, well, they have no self-esteem, no social skills, they're too introverted, they're, lazy with no study habits, and they start checking off like every negative area here. Well, obviously that's not any way to grow a child. So this is the area where we say, parents, committee, group in this meeting, what's one goal that we really think we can focus on for growth? What's the one thing that's getting in their way the most? Is it the study habits? Let's focus on that this year. And then this is just where if the parents have anything else that they just really need noted, this is just a way of putting it in the plan. And then the parent will sign for the fall conference. The teacher signs for the fall conference. And then these are for the end of year conference. So that's it for the individual learning plan form. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the resources that will help you to fill in this form, as well as help you have those conversations with parents about what the MAP scores mean. So I'm going to move to those documents now. Okay, so I created a Google folder where I put all of these reference materials, but they were all just downloaded off of NWEA MAP, and every one of you should have a login to be able to get and find all of these materials, plus a lot more that will help you just as a teacher. So I really just encourage you to spend some time here and there just exploring the resources on that program. I may even pull in some extra training for you just to kind of give you a chance to look at that. But here are the ones that we reference the most. This one is the MAP norms. And so by subject area, it has all of the norms, the standard deviation and the average, the grade level, and it breaks it up by beginning, middle, and end of year. We are at the beginning of the year, and so there is a chart that is easier to explain to parents, but when we start getting into middle and end of year, sometimes it's good to look at this chart, because the one that we frequently use to explain RIT scores and grade level equivalencies to parents only deal with beginning of year scores, so they start to become kind of skewed. But that's in there, but you won't reference that much for beginning of the year. Here's the one that everybody loves to use. Note that it is for beginning of year grade levels, so it's perfectly appropriate for this meeting. And it just has the median, the average. We talk about the average kid and the average score at the beginning of the year, where they would be. And then we look at this band right here, and we talk about this band right above the median as being an above average kid. We talk about this band, which is 2 standard deviations above the median, as being a gifted kid. And then we talk about this top band up here being in the highly gifted range. So we're basically just taking these norms and kind of thinking of them as like the bell curve for IQ as well, and just kind of correlating that so that they can see that if their child made a 225 as a 6th grader, that's an above average range. But if that child has a 225 and they're a 3rd grader, then we're talking about them topping the charts in a highly gifted range, or even as a 4th grader as a highly gifted range. So, and that when we talk about that, we are comparing them to the average 4th grader, not a highly gifted 4th grader. So just this helps the parents kind of see that, because they love to say that my child's on a 6th grade level and they're only in 2nd grade. Well, yes, but they're on this. That's telling you that they scored similarly to an average 50th percentile 6th grader, which isn't nearly as brag-worthy. You don't put that on a bumper sticker. So that just helps them to kind of make sense of those scores. Very popular report. Here's a new one, Parents' Guide to Map Growth. It explains how the test works, how the adaptive branching works, what it measures, how the RIT scores work. This is a really great report. It's brand new, has some common questions. Love this way more than the old parent guide, which is like 7 or 8 pages. This is a 1-pager, and it really explains what we tend to explain to them to begin when we talk about what the MAP test is, especially for those parents that are brand new to our school. So definitely use this report. It's fabulous, but everybody needs to read it because this is a brand new one we've not used before. This one's an oldie but a goodie, a RIT reference chart. So when the parents say, well, what does that even look like? A lot of parents just want to see what are the questions they ask if you're at a 225 in math. And so this is all the subjects. So here's math, K through 2. And we'll just go all the way until we hit a 225 in math. We're going to have to go a little higher than K through 2 to find that 225. So in that range, they might ask things like, what is the greatest common factor of 54 and 72? And so it gives you kind of just an example question, as opposed to the simplified form of and giving expressions and equations and things like that. So parents love these, and it's kind of sometimes just seeing a test question as an example helps them visualize where their child's at in that test. This is just something I came across that you don't have to share with the parents at all, but it's an amazing instructional resource, and I've not seen it before. It's fairly new, and it just has, it's only for math, reading, and language. Sorry, Miss Hawkins and Miss Hunt. But you look at the RIT band, and it just lists vocabulary that the students would need to know in that band to move to the next band in the MAP test. So not only is it giving you great information for your ELLs, but it's also just a really good snapshot of like where do they need to go. So if I've got a 171 to a 180, that's grade 1, middle to end of year, grade 2, beginning of year, what I'm going to be building on, the concepts, I'm going to be building on these denominators, lines of symmetry. Anyways, great, just real quick way of looking at where am I moving them. This is the concepts that I would be introducing if they were in that band. So, and this is the concept that I would be building on. So just really cool. I put it in there for you just because I found it and didn't want to lose it. You don't need to share that with parents. This one you would share with parents. This is just a how-to read. It's a chart that just explains all the different little pieces and parts of that MAP report that we give the parents. So for the last part of this video, I just want to show you where I found those reports and show you how to get into the student profile and for the meeting itself. So there are 2 things we've referenced in this meeting, and that is the actual MAP growth report, which I can't pull up until they refresh overnight. So I can't pull that up right now, but it's what with that sample that I showed you, what it referenced. But I can show you the student profile and show you where you can get information there. But everybody has access to all of these documents, and you don't have as many options over here as I do as an administrator. But I just wanted to show you that on this main home screen, if you go down here, there's this quick references page. All of this stuff here, these tutorials, they're amazing. So really dig into them. But under quick references, if you look there, there's all sorts of, this is for when you're proctoring the test, so skip that, you're pros at that. But all of this piece here, all these teachers instructor role has that RIT reference chart with the sample questions, the RIT to concepts, that's that vocabulary thing I was showing you. All of the different reports that you can get from MAP and what they do, 58 pages worth. It's a lot of good stuff. So, and then the parent guidance, the parent stuff that I was showing you guys, that's all in these pieces right here. And so one of the things that I wanted to show you there was the RIP to concepts. I already showed you that. Here we go. There's this parent guidance. It's under parent guidance. It's part of their community, but all of these parent guides, if you notice, they've got them in Korean, Vietnamese, Arabic, Spanish, Chinese. And so you could actually, I'm going to pull up the one in Arabic because that's super cool. We was just talking to Miss Kay about some of her kids in her room that speak Arabic. And so if you've got a parent that doesn't quite speak the language completely fluently, and it would make them more comfortable to have the English and the document in their home language, you have access to that by quite a few languages. So I thought that was really great and would be a good customer service for those parents that, I know we had some parents that spoke Vietnamese that came to the trainings. We got along just fine in the meeting, but I think they might have really benefited from seeing something in their home language as well, side by side, while we talked about it in English. And then there's this page here, this parent toolkit page that is just filled with resources and videos and translations, and so just some really amazing things. And you can give the parents that website to visit as well. So hopefully you'll be confident in giving them answers to the questions that they bring up. So that's it for getting you started. I'm sure that I've left some things out that you want to know about. That's what the staff meeting's for. Amy's going to take really great notes, and I'm either going to make another exciting video or send you a long email explaining anything that still needs to be clarified for the meetings next week. So I hope this was helpful and a refresher, and I look forward to finding out about your discussion Wednesday during the staff meeting. Thanks, guys.